Alrighty, guys, we're live. I think Zach's gonna be back here in just a second. So we can go ahead and start with some basic updates. So some community updates for you guys. If you looked at the announcements channel, the biggest one is that the One Swag is live. So we have a link to Etsy where we have like a little store page for you to be able to buy yourself a hoodie to rep some One Leaf if that's something you'd be interested in. I think the total cost with shipping is around $40, depending on where you live. Also depends on the size that you order. Beyond that, I don't think we have any other actual organizational announcements. I feel like we changed a channel this week. I don't remember what it was. I could just be misremembering. I think it might have been last week. And then before we get to organization announcements, it looks like Zach may be having Discord issues, so we'll wait just a sec for him. Well, Fardin, we can continue our chit chat that we were doing while we're waiting.
Go for it.
That would.
What do you think of the video?
It was enlightening, but at the same time, I had no idea what was going on to begin with. So like,
It's I'd say the key takeaway isn't so much everything that he says. It's more so what he points out to be the basis for both liberalism and conservatism. Right? It's that equity for all, regardless of any human factor or environmental factor, versus natural hierarchy and selection.
yeah, that part was the main takeaway for me as well. Just I didn't even know what like the core beliefs of each were.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the most simple point, but once that was made apparent, it just made me understand both sides and any discussion that ever comes up with politics, regardless of who's making it and which point they're making it from.
Just
It's
like gives you a context.
yeah, ultimately it comes down to those 2 points, like where their values lie in what they believe the natural world should be like.
Actually, you know what? We have you two. We can start with the One Leaf website updates.
Sure.
Let me pull up the website that I have for the static map generator real quick. Hold on, it's on my phone. It was. Oops. So since we didn't want to take the time to make that React map, I was kind of thinking like, I don't know, this would work. Where basically we'd just be able to put like pins on the map and then just take like a screenshot. And then, I don't know, we could resize it in Adobe or something like that.
Yeah, anything would work. And pretty much at this point, it's just a placeholder for view 1.
Yeah, and then, you know, we could just go into the page source and change like the background colors and whatnot, and then take a screenshot of it, just for now.
Oh, that's smart.
So I think we can take a look at that next meeting. I just need to know the color scheme that people want, and then I can set it up. It'll take all of 2 seconds. So it looks like for actual dev work, we'll start it on the projects and the meet the team page, or active projects and meet the team page. And it looks like it's looking like the V1 designs are going to be done either this weekend, I hope, or next weekend, which I've said for like 4 weeks now.
I'd say it's still, end of April, early like first week of May.
Yeah, at this point, we're waiting for the mobile navigation, and a landing view mobile. And that should be the complete designs for V1. We will need some copy and stuff for the projects, but
It's time for abs.
Zach was working on OL Go. We can skip over that and come back to that. Bread for the Journey, we have Sunday at 4 p.m. CST is going to be the meeting for that to get all the team together and start the planning and figure out who's going to hold what role and whatnot. We can go ahead and talk about community projects. I don't know if Zach's done anything on Swift UI Kit this week. On Bunny Hop, I didn't write it down. What did I do this week? Oh, I'm stuck on some really hard math problems, so I didn't get a whole lot done. I refactored. We have this debug console for us to say like the player could fly through walls or skip to the next checkpoint or something like that to make it easier to debug. So we pulled out that functionality into a custom console that people can import into their own games. So I've been working on that this week. Philodex, I'm never gonna pronounce it correctly.
Philodex. Yeah. Will, Fabrice, and I met last evening, yesterday, and it was a quick meeting. We didn't have too much to discuss, but basically, I'd say that we have the rough, low fidelity skeleton of the landing page and what's going to go on it. And we have this questionnaire component that's pretty core to what we're trying to do with the population we're designing for, which is people who are looking to start a nonprofit. And we discussed how that's going to be and how that's going to look. And I'd say we've got a skeleton for that as well. So now the three of us, we went through it, we saw it, and we have an idea of what it's shaping to be. It's now a matter of design and when I can create those high fidelity mockups for Will and Fabrice to see and then develop on the coding side.
Yep.
Zach, did I hear you join?
Yep.
Hey, hi guys. Oh, Susan's here too.
Hello.
Hi.
We talked about OL website, Zach. We skipped over OL Go and Swift UI Kit if you want to talk about them.
Okay, here in a second. I was pulling up the Notion. Or
Or
not the
HackMD.
Notion, the HackMD.
Was your
Are
computer
you-
taking a poop?
Well, randomly my charger stopped charging through my adapter. So I'm at 1% right now.
That's
So we're
unfortunate.
still on.
So for OL Go, we had someone join the project and they were working on the sign up page. They got that up for review. We've kept it, really basic, just doing basic functionality of being able to sign up, but then the password verification, having that is the basic requirements. But of course, everything's going to change to design depending on when that gets done. But he's going to start working on the login page too. So I'm going to be making tickets and kind of planning out at least a little bit more functionality of it because it's all there, at least for V2. So I just would rather start using it more, I guess the API more, and at least testing it. But that's where we're going with that. So we need to have a meeting about the design of that. Yeah, so I'll go.
Swift UI Kit?
So I separated that one with OL UI kit. Kind of like anything that anyone wants to add to it, they can add to it to the oneleif one. But the oneleif one uses mine as a dependency, so I don't have to update both of them. I can still just worry about mine because I use that at work, and there's certain things that I need it not to have, and that's like iOS 13 specific stuff like Swift UI. It just doesn't work when I'm trying to build my app, so I took it out. But yeah, it's kind of in a good state. I think Oscar was working on map view to it. So after that, there's like one more ticket, and then it's really kind of done, at least for ideal, just basic version of it to use.
Speaking of Oscar, I don't know what it is about Poland, but we keep finding One Leaf members from Poland. I saw that the Polish channel had a bunch of chit chat in it today. Sorry, random off topic, my bad. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I was talking with him, and I knew that we had quite a bit, and that some of them are pretty active. So I was like, "Should we have a Polish channel? Would you want that?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then conversation started up right away. So
Will, Leaf down?
No progress this week, but at this point, just working on the initial parser. Once that gets made, I'll make a bunch of tickets for all the different rules of Markdown, so anybody can pick them up. Yep.
Perfect. We already talked about One Swag, Zach. Was there any other community updates that we that I missed? I feel like we changed one of the channels this week. I just don't remember what it was. Oh, we changed internship to apprenticeship. That's what it was.
I think we might have already said that. But yeah, it feels like something else happened. I forget.
We did set up a so to talk about the apprenticeship a little more. We did have a meeting about it earlier this week to kind of round out how we're going to handle it. The takeaways from it are that we set up a little questionnaire for us to get an idea of if you're applying for the apprenticeship where you're at. Our goal is to handle or to help the people that need it the most off the bat and basically get like a one-on-one mentor from the core team that we have now. And then once that's kind of up and running, then we can look at where to go next. So it's not 100% set in stone, but it's getting there. But yeah, that was it for all the updates. Unless I'm forgetting anything.
I think we're good.
Sweet. Well, we can move on to fun topics, dude. Actually, okay, I know. Okay, so our fun topics next week, we're talking about like some new tech. So there's a new iPad coming out, a new Xbox. Zach was he got some artistic inspiration. Has been making us cat icons that we can use in Discord and wherever. Um, I did find this week Super Kala. This was super cool. I wanted to show this off. So they have this Kickstarter, right? And I saw it on, I don't know, Instagram or YouTube or something. It was an ad. And basically it's this charger that it has like metallic rings around the charger and it will like automatically like coil up for you, which I thought was just super cool. And they like wanted like $10,000, I think, and they're like already pledged $1 million, which is crazy.
How does it unfurl? Because that could get annoying.
Like that, like you literally like it like unsnaps. I'm assuming like the plugs have to be really tight or you'd like accidentally unplug it. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that.
I like need
I
this.
know.
Those new chargers so much.
It looks like the estimated delivery is in June 2020. So in 2 months.
How much is it?
Like
It doesn't say.
$19 a cord, which is like no more expensive than regular.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
But like if you buy it in bulk, it's cheaper. Like it's 15 if you buy two. I don't know. I just thought that was cool to show off. I found that earlier this week. Alrighty, so the new iPad. Dude, I love the new stand that they added. Oh my gosh, the I saw this as well. Mac, it's like wheels. I thought this was funny as heck. It was $700 for wheels to put your Mac on wheels. I thought that was crazy, unless there was something that I was missing for like some genius tech that they put into it. I feel like you could almost 3D print some wheels for cheaper.
Maybe the wheels have Wi-Fi or something.
Sounds like Apple, all right.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like it costs almost as much as an iPad Pro. I guess their target market for the Mac is or the Mac Pro is more like enterprise. It's like if you get the
iPod
terabyte of RAM, it's like 50 grand.
That looks so futuristic.
The iPad?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's also creators, right? They usually need pretty extensive hard drive space for a lot of the creative assets they make,
Yeah.
especially video makers and editors.
So the new iPad that's coming out, is it the Pro, Zach?
Yeah, it's the Pro.
What's that?
It is the
It's
Pro.
Okay. So
I
we
think the real.
go
Oh,
ahead, Sus.
sorry. I think the real big deal here, like you said, is really that keyboard. It's such a big upgrade compared to the current iPad Pro keyboard. And the only thing is it's very expensive, but it's such an improvement.
This UI is something funky.
That parallax, though.
This is so cool. Okay, so they got their latest Bionic chip. Oh, it's got 8 cores for an iPad. That's crazy. I like how they add faster than most PC laptops. That is so true. Like so many of the Chromebooks and like all the little notebooks that you buy are so slow. But yeah, speaking of iPad, Zach made icons for us on his iPad. He found this like little cat logo, and then he made us all
Yeah, I was
custom
using,
avatars.
I forget what app it was. Sketches Pro, I think.
He's become a little artist. I'm not the only
He's
artist.
so cute,
Look
and he made like
at.
Yeah, that one I drew.
then Cody has one with the mustache and glasses. Walrus, of course, has walrus tusks. Sarah has a bow. Suze has a bow, and like a leotard. I like it. But yeah, I think that stand is like the that was my kind of problem with iPads is they're kind of just like a little bit too big to not have almost like a laptop. How it like has like the hinges that allows you to like hold it in a non pain in the butt way. That's cool. The charger's on the actual keypad. Huh.
I wouldn't buy the new iPad, but I would buy the keyboard if it had better monitor support or external display or
Yeah, like if it
anything
had like
like
an
that.
HDMI port on the side or something to
Or if it
attach
had
another
better
monitor.
multitasking instead of just two screens, like yeah. There's a few things like I already have the first Magic Folio keyboard, so
Oh, I need
like
to look
I
up the
don't know.
butterfly keyboard. There was a bunch of members of OneLeaf that said they really liked the. Oh, that's just the Mac Pro or MacBook Pro keyboard, isn't it? Just like super touchy flat keys.
Yeah, they're like super flat.
Huh. I
Do
don't
you
know, but
like him?
a bunch of members said they like it more than their mechanical keyboards. I don't think anything is ever going to make me get away from my Razer mechanical keyboard. I just love it so much.
Oh no, see I used to like Razer, but now I hate Razer just because it's overly clicky. Like I found my favorite keyboard and it's like a little bit softer of a click.
What
But
switches do you
for
use?
the which one?
Yeah.
The what is this? Logitech Pro or whatever. I used the one without the numpad.
You have
Okay,
two
so
versions.
I like the numpad for like working in
Three.
Unity and whatnot for like having to type in like coordinates. And then like every time I want to go play a game, it's like just too big that for like first person shooters I like always run into my mouse into my keyboard. It's like without that numpad it'd be better.
It's also cheaper.
Yeah. Usually it's like 20 or 30 bucks off.
I cannot stand a super clicky keyboard. Like, kind of like what Xavier has. Oh my goodness, that drives me nuts.
That level of clicky.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? While we're in here, I did see there was a new feature in Discord. Did you guys notice the noise suppression.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna like type along. I want to turn it on and see if it works. Oh, do I already have it on? Okay, can you hear my keyboard?
Yes.
Faintly.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear my keyboard now?
Whoa.
Does
No.
it go away?
We're in the future.
All right, here, I'll test it.
All right, yeah.
Ready?
So that way the people
All right.
listening can hear.
Can you hear my keyboard?
Yep.
All right. And can you hear my keyboard now?
Not even a little. Dude, that's crazy. Man. I wonder if they use like machine learning or something like that. Or if they do like what's it called? Fourier analysis to like take the different pitch levels and pull them out after they like recognize your voice.
Whoops.
Hmm.
Accidentally pressed Command Q in there.
You kill it.
Yeah, it died.
All right, so the next piece of tech we're gonna look at was the new Xbox. It's the Series X. I like the look that they did. I feel like they almost ripped off the Mac Pro a little bit. They got the cheese grater. I love how it looks actually like a cheese grater. It's so beautiful. They just did it on the top instead of on the sides. Okay, so they had. Okay, so it's
No, it looks like a mix of the cheese grater and the previous Mac Pro because it has like the fans going through the center of it. Like
what was that like 2017 for the old Mac Pro?
that was the trash can. This looks like the cooling system of the trash can with some cheese grater quality added to it.
Oh, this trash can. I remember this trash can. Yeah, I see the resemblance. I also like how it has like the wavy top. It's like indented. So I think the big thing they're trying to push with this is the 4K gaming. Nobody knows what teraflops means. It's tera is like 10 to the 12th, and a flop is a floating point operation per second, which just means it can compute fast. The other nice part that is that it does come with a 1 terabyte SSD. Because you know, like Call of Duty alone is like 100 gigs, so you have to have at least a terabyte nowadays. Yeah, it does look like the fan system works just like the old Mac Pro, Zach, the trash can.
That's not good. That was a bad thing that Apple designed.
I remember, I think it was Halt and Catch Fire. It was like a series on, I think it was Netflix. It was basically about like the start of the internet. Like, man, I can't even remember any other names. But they were designing like the first like computers and whatnot, and they were like, oh, we want to make a laptop, but like we can't fit the components in there and we can't get the heating right. And they were like, oh, what do we do? Oh, we just like split the motherboard or the CPU or I don't remember what it was in half and layer them on top of each other. And it was like a huge breakthrough.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Sounds like the trash can where they had 3 motherboard spots in like a triangle.
You must have to have like a super fast like bus for you to be able to like traverse that long a space though.
Yeah, that's interesting that they do that. It makes sense for cooling and that stuff, but then yeah, for actually all the wiring and anything like that, or even repairs potentially too.
Heatsink is non-electronic. That's kind of cool. They say vapor chamber, but I'm pretty sure it's just another heatsink, right? Like the whole point of a heatsink is just to have long, thin pieces of metal that put
The
like
vapor
disperse heat.
chamber, I was aware, has like an open, like it has like space inside of it that has water that when it gets
Oh,
heated up, it you know
releases
that's
steam and lowers the
yeah.
temperature.
So that's the whole yeah
That's so
vapor
cool.
chamber. I've seen some of the channels that take apart phones, and even phones have the vapor chamber, and he'll like cut into it, and you'll see like little water in it that when it's heated up helps it cool down.
It looks like they partnered with Seagate for their storage. They gave it like its own like casing and whatnot. but it's just a SD card, I guess. Funky. Looks
Are
like
The
they
memory
like?
card is back.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, that is weird.
You guys remember the old Xbox 360? You had to like take off the entire front of the computer to take off the hard drive and put on a new one. Do you guys ever see that?
No, I didn't play the games that much.
Oops, I wanted images. I don't want a memory card. Like, the whole front panel of the Xbox would basically come off. Try to find a good picture. Yeah, like okay, so you see how there's like this seam hold on. This seam right here. This whole front piece would come off and that was like the hard drive, which was or no. It was the top side, my bad. Was it? It's been so long. It was one of these components that come off that is like a massive memory holder and I remember it was just a pain in the butt. I don't mind the SD card approach. It looks like there's only one slot for it though, so like you couldn't like double up your memory.
Yeah, see, I like the the GameCube. I almost said gaming cube. Yeah, the GameCube
The
had
cartridges.
yeah, it had two of them I think that you could put in.
The one thing I have always liked about Xbox is their controllers. They just feel really ergonomic.
Yeah, but all they need is like literally an app or a game that, is more, focused on productivity and they have a computer. Like because keyboard support already works, right?
Yeah.
So then like just pop in some Word, some PowerPoint, get Excel in there, and boom, you got stats. Like yeah, there you go.
Dude, they're getting super cool with like modded controllers. Like Microsoft came out with their Elite controller, which has like paddles on the back. And I know for Rocket League, those are a huge thing on Xbox.
Really?
So you
Oh,
wouldn't,
geez.
because you'd use it with
Yeah,
your
no.
like ring and pinky finger, right?
I don't think I like the paddles or at least the ones that I've had before. I don't really like that. It feels weird to hold the controller. Have you seen the PlayStation, the new PlayStation controller?
What
I
are they
think
on
they switched.
PS5
I think I
now?
like the PlayStation controller, the new PlayStation controller versus Xbox controllers now because I used to love Xbox controller, but the new PlayStation just looks so much more comfy.
Whoa! And it also has the touchscreen on it.
Oh no, I don't think that.
Oh my god.
I
That's
don't.
not
I
Okay,
don't. That's not.
that must be a
That's
like
this is
I
it.
don't think
oh,
so.
it's a
Yeah.
leak. They think that's how it's gonna look. Okay,
Yeah.
dude, I get
Why
one of
would
these. These look
you?
cool as hell.
It's those, yeah.
That's like too many features.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
why don't you just play on an iPad, and then sync that up to a TV?
yeah. I feel like they just kind of were like, what features can we add? Boom. Screen on the
They
controller.
didn't have the screen.
Well, that's the concept.
They have the
Now you
touchpad.
confused
That
Susie.
No, no,
that
no.
thing in the middle is a touchpad.
Yeah, and you can like it's like a trackpad almost, isn't it? Like you can press the left or right side.
Yeah.
I remember there were like rumors back I don't know, it was a year or so ago that they were gonna put like a little like hologram projector on the front of the controllers.
Hmm.
That'd be kind of cool.
Did we mention the meeting tomorrow?
Oh, oh! I completely 100% skipped over that. We did not. Thank you for the reminder. So, the OneLeaf website, the version one, so all the static pages and designs are going to be done here really soon. So tomorrow we're going to hold a meeting for planning out version two of the website, and the version two planning will probably be broken out into a couple meetings. I assume they're going to take a decent amount of time to talk through each of the features and see how we want to set things up. Um, Suze, did
Yeah,
we?
tomorrow will be, I feel like, more of the high level, going over the features we want and then establishing priority. And then from there we can plan out extra meetings.
Yeah, and then we will probably once V1 is done, we'll probably just keep it on the Sunday weekly meeting schedule. But since this week on Sunday we still have version one design meetings, we wanted to get the version two meeting as a separate time when everybody had time. Uh, this stream went real quick. I don't have anything else
Um,
prepared. Anybody else want to
I
chip?
would say for tomorrow's meeting too, like, Just knowing like priority wise, like what we want to cover. Especially it's helpful for design because that's be out faster than development. Uh, so I
At
think
least with
that
version 2, we can do the releases more incrementally, if that's a word, than version 1.
Yeah, like
Uh,
per feature. I think one of the takeaways for what we learned from working on the oneleif website is you want to start on design early because like Zach and I started on the back end like I don't know what, a year ago now, Zach,
It was a while ago.
and it's been like we haven't had to touch it at all. Like it's been like done. So like if we would have had design start back then, like at the same time, we would have gone a lot quicker. I think doing the back end, the benefit of that is it kind of gave us a better idea of what we wanted to do. But now that we have a bigger team and we're gonna have planning meetings, I don't think that'll be an issue. So I don't know. Are we just gonna go off topic and just chit chat now? Because we don't really have
Yo,
anything
so
else.
what about that iPhone SE?
Oh,
That's hot.
I need to look at that. This is just like the reasonably priced iPhone, right?
Yeah, that's the cheap one.
$400. I like it. I think that was like the one thing that like kept most people back is like if you want to get like an iPhone 11 Pro, it was like $1,100 or $1,200, which is insane. I say insane, but I got it. So like,
Yeah, no, the entry really like that's the tough part, and that's the insane part is like the entry cost for anything Apple is kind
super
of
high,
yeah.
relatively.
And it's ridiculous because like if you actually want something, that you want, then you have to pay a lot more because like the base price is already so high and getting upgrades jumps up super quick and they solder stuff in or like on here, you just have to upgrade it when you get it because there's no SD card slot or anything like that. So, but this, I mean, is a great price for getting, the latest or close to the latest processor on that.
Oh, it still gives you 4K video recording on the SE, which would fill up your 64 gigs of memory in all like 12 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is nice because I pay for the what's it called, iCloud storage to like back up my photos and whatnot, and it's like $1 a month for like 50 or 100 gigs or something like that. So it's probably cheaper to go that route than it is to even pay for the upgraded storage.
I pay for the 2 terabyte one.
Oh yeah,
And
because you and Suze are on family plan, I assume.
yeah,
Yeah,
and we
that's
haven't
worth.
even like dented it. We have like like I have 200 gigs or something like that, but yeah, I just throw all the 4K 60 frames per second video on there and it's fine. But yeah, you still need like quite a bit of device stuff, but I don't know. Like if you're an SE user, if you're an original SE user and you've waited this long to upgrade, like this is an amazing time. But like at most points, it's a downgrade or it's literally a parallel. Like if you have an iPhone 8, then it's the same body, just an upgrade. If you have, 10 anything, then it's a downgrade at that point.
Yep,
So it's like
it's like
it's very specific for like Android users that might want to switch at that mid range where it's like OnePlus or some of those other ones. But yeah, no. I think it's overall really good, but I don't think it's anything revolutionary. I think it's just finally they've gone low in the price. Oh my goodness.
they just finally decided to capture a different market rather than going for the high end.
A lot of people are thinking they're just recycling so much now,
I
where
could see that.
it's just like, well, okay.
Since we were talking about storage on iCloud, I'm using 200 gigs of storage for photos and videos alone right now because I recorded some stuff in 4K because I was
Wow.
curious.
Did you record nature or what did you
Yeah,
record? Like
just like stuff on walks and whatnot.
children? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, no, dude, it's crazy. I'll do 4K 60 frames per second for some of the meetup talks, and they go in 30 minutes to an hour, and it's like 36 gigs or like 46 gigs, and it's like I can't transfer it. It's so slow to move, and
Yeah,
it
like
sucks to upload to the iCloud because then it's like 36 gigs of data to upload for one thing.
if we go to some of my videos that I upload to YouTube, oh man, I am so ready for my new computer to come in. I don't know what's up with my task manager. I don't know if my hard drive's failing or if like I just have too much stuff. But it just takes forever to do anything on my um, task or file explorer. But yeah, you can see I'm at 2560 by 1080 and I downscaled to 1920 by 1080. Um, and like a 35-minute video was 5 gigs. So if you multiply that by 4 and then multiply that by 4 to get up to 4K or 8, 4 or 8 to get up to 8K, and then I'd record at 30 frames per second, I think. So double that. You'd you'd be looking at like, 50 gigs an hour. And this still takes like an hour or two to upload to YouTube. So you're looking at like an hour-long video taking an entire day to upload to YouTube, which is crazy. I wonder if Apple and anybody else is looking into like new image or video compression methods now that we have like 4K at 60 frames. Because like when we were looking at my file explorer, you could see that I had some videos that were like 20 minutes but were 4 gigs, and I had some that were an hour but still less than that. So like depends on like how much data has changed in between the frames. Like if I'm looking at the same screen for the entire stream, my recording would be a lot smaller.
Yeah, I don't know because there's like the whole red raw and that stuff video encoding too, and I know there's a lot of different video encodings and that stuff, and especially with 5G coming out and faster speeds. And potentially if you think in a few years we already can record in 4K 60 frames per second, so potentially I don't know, maybe 8K 120 frames. I don't think we need that, but
I was like, yeah,
it's still a
4K at
possibility.
60 feels pretty realistic. I mean, upgrading the refresh rate to a little bit higher than 60 seems somewhat useful. Like if somebody's playing a intense first-person shooter or something at 4K, maybe you want a little bit higher of a frame rate. But like, I don't see like 8K or 16K resolution like adding a whole lot of clarity. Like you can still read like
They
even
don't
the
have
smallest text.
resolution though. Like the phones that you take 4K on an iPhone, but the iPhone can't view that 4K, right?
Oh, because of the screen.
Yeah. So I mean, they
Oh,
might make it capable because the whole thing of like other phone companies and cameras are they all try to go insane. Like Apple threw a lidar on. Some other companies have like 50 times zooms. Like, I mean, it's bound to happen that someone's gonna be like, oh yeah, we have a 6K or like a 5K, whatever. But yeah, to your point of how do you actually like encode that faster, more efficiently, have it so you can potentially like email, like how do you transfer that video after you've done, you've taken it, like I mean your options are limited
it's
for
like
that.
YouTube only for storing that big of data.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, it's like so if someone's thinking email, like maybe like if you send like like 10,000 emails or something, if it's like 4K 60 frames per second or like, oh geez, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like Outlook, the biggest email you can send or email attachment is like 150 meg, unless you have like an on-site server.
Yeah, that's crazy. We need to get rid of email, man. That's outdated, right?
Yeah, why don't we just use Slack for everything? I did talk the people at I don't want to say I talked them into it, but I gave the like corporate side of the company feedback on like how they've been doing like weekly emails for like I don't know, they do like contests and whatnot, like you can win gift cards to like a local restaurant or whatever. And some of the developers were getting upset that they were like doing these group emails and people keep responding to everybody, so you'd get like 100 emails in a day of something that you don't care about. And so I think through numerous levels of feedback, they switched to Slack and had like channels that you can opt into, so you're not constantly getting notifications.
Email spam's the worst. I hate
It
it.
really is, because you have to look at each individual email for the notification to go away. And who wants notifications left over?
You don't really have to look at all of them. Like you really can just wait till it hits, a certain number and then just delete them.
That's
Like
true.
by that time that you haven't read them and it's been that time, like you should be fine, right? You don't need to actually read it.
It's been 3 months. If they wanted something from me, it's probably screwed anyways.
Yeah. Oops. That's too bad.
Well, what else do you want to chat about? We're getting close to that hour mark. I know we like to usually have our streams about an hour, but nobody really had any other requests for this week, so we kind of just waited a little bit.
Is there anything in direction or?
Actually, I haven't looked at direction in a hot second. Let me go look.
Fine.
Did Susie say fired?
Fabrice, Will, and I had a very interesting chat on community feedback and how to support new members. I don't know if Will is still in the call. Will?
I am.
Oh, yes. Okay, there he is. But yeah, if you guys want to hear that,
Go for it.
do you want to go? Do you want to tag on after?
I'll tag on after because I'm kind of forgetting what most of it was about.
Sure. Yeah. So to keep myself from rambling too much, we discussed a lot of things, and it pretty much boiled down to how or where we perceive the current gaps to be. And two of the biggest gaps that the three of us kind of agreed on and we were discussing primarily was the first being that new members have difficulty transitioning into some sort of active involvement. And by active, I mean either participating in the project, participating regularly in the streams, talking on channels, interacting with members, like any active action. And the second gap to be with acquiring experienced individuals, not necessarily that they need to be experts in the field, but with enough experience that they can either create or tag on to an existing project and make them move faster. So those were the two gaps that we kind of discussed, and essentially what we realized was in trying to cater to both groups, it's difficult enough as is to do one group properly, but it makes it difficult. It makes it even more difficult to have that middle ground that's appealing to both. Primarily because of the skill gap, right? Beginners are there to learn; they aren't too confident with their skills, or they're just there out of interest and no personal investment of any sort. Um, and it's hard to expect them to meet the intimidation, the level of expertise, and the contextual information required to participate in projects and be active in the channels um, without no transition to get there, or without any transition to get there. And conversely, it's also equally difficult to expect senior people to um, to do what they would consider menial tasks. Not, I'd say menial is too harsh of a word, but tasks that don't necessarily challenge them, or tag onto projects that don't necessarily challenge them. Like, how do you cater to someone who's maybe had, let's say, 50 years of design, hypothetically? How do you keep that person engaged and invigorated, or even, let's say, 10 years of design or development experience, right? Um, so and then you also need to build a bridge between those two groups because they need to interact, but they need to have a common ground to do so. So it's a lot of challenges there, and one thing we agreed on as a potential uh, potential area to tackle for an immediate solution, at least, um, is figuring out onboarding and um, and then how that works for the different tiers of people joining. So if they are a beginner, what does that first introductory experience look like joining into oneleif? And then you guys have been doing a great job at that with the introductory streams, with the announcements. So there's a lot of material to work off of already, but I feel like it's still um, it's still very passive. It's out there for them to take and look into, so they can go to the stream, they can ping one of you guys, they can message on the channels, but it's something that they have to do, even if the resources are there. um, and and that's just an extra step of friction. And what might be more conducive is maybe having active onboarding rather than passive onboarding. And in one of the ways we discussed of doing that was potentially having like a weekly onboarding meeting, like where the new members of that week can come onto a voice chat either with one of the community managers or someone who volunteers their time and receive all the contextual information needed for either the projects or the different channels that they're interested in, or creating a project if that's what they want to do, and be able to receive that personalized support um, on live chat. And then they can already do that in messaging you guys, and you also greet them and chat with them one on one. But I feel like having that in person and over voice is a bit more conducive. That's one way. Um, I'm forgetting all the other things we discussed, all the other potential solutions, but I think that was the biggest one, right, Will?
Yeah, it was really one thing we notice is we don't really keep too many people's attention. So like being able to onboard them, give them a feeling of the community, and especially like when you're joining a project, it feels a little overwhelming, especially when you don't know what's going on. And us being an established nonprofit, also could be a little more intimidating. So having like a plan, maybe like weekly or every other week, uh, onboarding session where they can come and ask questions. We can give them the spiel, let them know active projects, and kind of give them a feel of what's going on would be helpful.
Yeah, and even within the projects themselves, we can have an onboarding path, and we do have one rough, like a rough draft of it. And I think there were even people who were present in the last meeting, but they were just observing, so they weren't participating, if I'm not mistaken. So that's like one of the great examples of onboarding like that. But fleshing it out so that it's an actual process across all the organizational projects, or even asking the community PMs that are running their own projects to have a similar onboarding process, um, and mimicking what Will did with their with the website wiki, for example. Um, yeah, so that was one way to go about it. We I think we also discussed project categorization, right? Will, with skill tiers.
Uh, well, first we got into the discussion over like how to handle all the different experience levels because you have people who are joining who have been programming for 20 years, and then you have people who are just trying to learn and they can't really jump on the same project together unless we reserve tasks, but those could really end up being blockers. And then you run out of tasking. So we went down the discussion of maybe us setting out projects that uh, kind of have different levels and you can point based off experience where someone should go. And then we came up with the idea that, well, that would take us taking more time to like set it up, like lead them in the direction, especially if it's like more experienced people, then we might have to go in and hold their hand during it. So then I think Fardine came up with the idea of maybe having like a group project where we weekly could have a stream where we go over the different parts and like they can have that week where they work on that project and then you come and show the solutions week by they do alongside you, like in a little boot camp type thing. Is that what
Oh,
it was?
yeah. No, I totally forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
'Cause
Yeah,
that was
no,
the better idea than the leveled projects.
yes. Yes, Will's absolutely right. So in university, I was part of a organization called Coffee and Code, and we had physical meetups with different projects in data science and web dev, in game programming, design, and people who were interested in those fields could sign up for a beginner or intermediate class, and they were taught by students as well. And we would have one meetup over the course of 8 to 10 weeks, so 8 meetups in total, and they'd go through a guided lesson and group development time to work on that project and come in and check in every week. And then by the end of the whole phase, um, there was a project demo day where they were allowed to show what they've built, um, and showcase it to their class, but also the rest of the coffee and code community and the larger university community as well. We had like a whole elaborate event for it. Um, so yeah, essentially what Will was saying, that it would be a good way to practically join in on the streams that you guys are doing and have tangible progress that they can then showcase slash stat slap onto a resume, or even look back at and say that yes, I've developed these skills. Um, Granted, I haven't watched the Swift of the Sea Sharp stream, so I don't really know how much of this is done there. But in case it isn't, it would be a cool way to augment those streams, or even have a separate, like a beginner project development stream for with a templated project. Yeah, I think that's everything we discussed, right? Well,
That's everything I can think of.
yeah,
Okay,
same
so to
here.
summarize, it was we could tag projects with a difficulty, weekly onboarding voice chats, and weekly projects that are somewhat similar to a boot camp with a demo. Did I miss
Uh,
anything?
yes.
Sorry, I started taking notes like halfway through you guys talking, so I may have missed something.
No, that's perfectly summed up.
Okay. Okay, so I kind of feel like this was a Shark Tank promotion, and I love it. um, so I agree that the tagging the projects with the difficulty may not be the route to go. It could be a feature that we add to the oneleif website that people could vote on the level of difficulty, just as an idea. Um, One sec. For the weekly onboarding voice chats, I 100% agree that we should do that. I don't really have any problems with that. We just need to have somebody that would, I don't know, maybe if we use the mentor channel or whatnot, people volunteer weekly, or we have a rotation for who runs that voice chat. Um, the the only downside to that is those that are either too shy to get in voice chat or don't have a microphone because maybe they don't have the money to do it or don't have a good enough computer or connection. How we would handle that, and maybe that would just be a text group chat instead then.
Hmm.
But I do agree that should. I almost think we want to have them like daily, because I feel like if like by the end of the day, if somebody's been in this Discord and like nothing's happened, like nobody's like talked to them, they'd leave, or they just like turn off notifications and never come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think expecting others to engage them is
Too
is a
much of an
slip.
expectation.
Yeah, it's a very optimistic expectation,
Yep.
and I think there's a lot of there's still a lot of intimidation with being approached, especially if you are truly scared of joining a new community and showcasing your lack of knowledge, or your inexperience, right? Or if you have
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, for example. And I think having the option to join those meetings or join those text groups um, puts the ball in their court, and it's more so decision on their end rather than one that's forced onto them.
I Okay, so I'm in 100% agreement that we want to we don't want to take a passive approach. We do want to take an active approach. Um, Zach and I originally, I think, liked the passive approach because it showed that the people were willing. Like, if Zach and I were going to put in the time to help, it showed that they had enough motivation to do it. Um, but as we've learned, a lot of it doesn't come down to motivation. It does come down to almost some social anxiety or fears of what's the word, imposter syndrome.
But if we're gonna go and start saying active approach is a good solution, then that's more intimidating that you joined a Discord that's actually an organization that's now actively trying to onboard you and then like get you into projects. Like
Yeah, I
I feel
agree.
like either side has its, you know, negatives, and it's just like, what are we trying to solve here?
And then
Onboarding or
Which is why like having the meetings is more so again, it's a decision on their end, right? They don't have to come to those chats or those meetings, right? If they're truly invested in wanting to be a part of this organization, if they want to be onboarded, and if they have questions, they'll come to those chats, and that way, at the very least, they do receive that personalized onboarding. Whereas now, it's very abstract onboarding.
Yeah, especially since we don't have the OneLeaf website up to explain what all we do. If they just like happen to find a link to OneLeaf, they wouldn't even know what we do.
Mm-hmm. It creates that primary level of engagement that's a step further than just text messages. And you wouldn't get everyone in the net. I think that's even an optimistic outlook, and you'll definitely miss a lot of people. And heck, maybe even just one person might show up. But I feel like it's a worthwhile experiment to see if the conversion rate improves.
I agree with that exact statement.
can we just, you know, aim this stream right now as like more for new people that joined? Like this is already a place that we try to, you know, onboard, update everyone on every project and that stuff. But I mean, there's no one here asking questions on like, hey, what's a cool project that I joined? Or, you know, like anything like that. Like,
I think that might be on us for not explaining what exactly we do on the stream, because usually in the announcement it's like, well, OneLeaf Weekly stream is at this time and here's what we're talking about. We don't really say like it's for everybody to join in and hop in the voice chat and talk to us.
Yep, I think it could definitely be tagged onto the stream. Maybe it's even 15 minutes before the stream starts.
Yeah, that's a really good
Um,
idea, actually.
so at the very least, you have those 15 minutes, and then you can push them into the stream and make them watch the stream or participate along as well if they want to. But yeah, no, I think it could definitely be tied to the stream.
It's just a little bit more about how we notify people about it.
Yeah, and I think it would need to have some semblance of branding and structure of what that stream is then. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think I totally forgot that the stream is where everyone talks about everything that's happened.
So yeah, I think we should do a better job of I don't know, either doing an at everyone or pinging the newer people to let them know that the stream is about to start and they should come hop in and talk to us.
Yeah, and really emphasize that this stream is really for everyone in the community and not just like uh new or advanced or developer. Like it's for everyone. And it's about it's community wide. And yeah, and I agree that an at everyone might solve that. Um we just have to be careful and make sure not to bug people with a ton of pings and all that.
Maybe we edit the start message when the people join, and let them know that there is that that weekly stream as one of the points.
why don't you just make a calendar invite and let them click it?
That works too. Yeah,
A lot of people are like, oh, I forgot about it too, or like, you know, I mean, some people just don't work out for time zone.
that's true.
So did we figure out the onboarding thing, or did we like?
I don't think there's anything to figure out really. More of just a suggestion, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, did we talk? I guess we didn't. Like we have here, how many people in start?
Like 300.
39 new people, and then yeah, 237 people that are like haven't given an introduction. So like, do we try to do onboarding before they've given an introduction, or do we do onboarding after? I mean, it's throughout like while they join, but like when does it start?
I'd say after. I
Por qué
mean,
no
them
las
giving an
dos?
introduction would be like them actually taking the first step and wanting to do it.
yeah, I feel like to make it fair for you guys as well, and not to to keep it feasible and manageable, that it would be after introductions, and that way at least you're focusing on the people that do want to be a part, or at least more so want to be a part of one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I guess the only other problem is making sure that people are aware of what all we do so that they want to be more invested, which I think the website will solve that issue for the most part. And then your last point that you guys talked about, the weekly projects that are somewhat similar to a boot camp. Zach and I we're working towards that, right? So we did a computer science fundamentals tutorial series where we are going to work up to do more of the like stuff that's what's the word I'm looking for? That multiple different programming languages and platforms, like that knowledge that they'll both utilize. And then like the actual like his Swift stream and my C# stream, we started out with just the basics of the languages themselves, and now we're getting closer to the point where we're gonna start working on projects with people. Um, so I think it might be a good recommendation that we basically say, hey, here's what we're gonna make next week. See if you can do it yourself. Otherwise, we'll show you the solution, or follow along with us as we code it during the stream and make it work. All the code that I've been doing in the stream, I've uploaded to like a GitHub repository. So like when I'm done with that code for the week, they have access to it, so they can go look at it and see how it works.
I wonder how many people come up for troubleshooting with that code then.
What do you mean by that?
Like if they've looked at it and they don't understand something, do they come and ping you post stream?
Or during stream, right? Because like that's what the stream is for, so people can ask questions during it.
Right.
But yeah, post stream, yeah, they'd have to come bug me in the Discord or something.
Hmm.
Making that easier might be nice.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a project, but I feel like as long as there's some facilitation for a work along sort of track, whatever that is, I think, yeah, it just makes it easier for them to see the practical value of joining these teams and working alongside you guys. It's tough. I definitely don't envy the challenge you guys have.
I think the best solution will be what you said, is basically to emphasize that it's a work along project and that they should code as we are and ask questions.
Yeah, I think even having kind of like a rough outline of what the weeks look like and where they should be if they're progressing with you on the stream. It might be difficult because if I'm also not mistaken, this is the first time that something of the sort is done. So you guys are also discovering it as you go along. So that might make it a bit difficult to have things pre-planned.
I usually have planned
Um,
like 1 or 2 weeks out, and then like at the beginning and end of the stream, I'll let people know what we're doing the next week.
I mean, like at a macro level, like talking about, let's say, a couple of weeks or
Yeah,
like a month or
I
two.
need to have that
That
better
might
planned
be
out.
that might be a bit more difficult, but yeah, some sort of some sort of progression metric for them to be like, okay, well, if I can make it to week 4 on, let's say, Zach's stream, then this is where I expect to be, or this is what I expect to have done. And that would be an X amount of improvement in my skill with what Zach's teaching. I think if that's somehow communicated, that would be ideal.
I think after this first pass of the streams, I'm almost gonna want to go back and like restructure it to be more of a linear class with projects in between each of the topics. But I don't know. Well, I'll get to the reviewing of our streams once the series have progressed a bit more. Well, guys, anything else you want to chat about? We've hit our hour mark.
Oh, was this still on the stream?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Huh. No, I think that's pretty much it. There were just some suggestions, as Will mentioned, we were ideating with and just throwing around and spitballing, and figured we'd share them.
No, yeah, those are great ideas. I appreciate it.
No
Zach,
problem.
anything else before we call the stream good?
I think it's already good, so.
Okay, perfect. Well, everybody, thanks for watching.